Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is my buddy Tim Easton. He's going to tell you a story about the time he met John Prine backstage in Galway, Ireland.
For me, it's all about studying the heroes of your heroes. Like that's a thing I try to impart to young songwriters, travelers, art makers, And in the case of John Prine, it's like he's like a huge influence on all of us and therefore on more than just songwriters, just like it's a worldwide thing. Like his calm, comedic appreciation of the human condition, right? So I'm a street musician in Ireland in the late 80s. I'm hitching around Ireland. It's a very accepted form of transportation. I go to Galway Arts Festival. Dr. John's playing it. Mick DeVille, guy named John Prine's there. I'm like, John Prine, the guy, Sam Stone. These are songs where you're like, these are novels, these are movies and songs. You're like, oh my gosh, John Prine's there. Turns out he's been hanging out there for a while. He's meeting his future wife there, but he's playing a gig like to like I don't know 150 people in a small hall. I show up to sound check. I'm like, I'm not messing around, right? So, it's just Galway Arts Festival, beautiful time. I pop in through the back door there, kitchen door or something. I come in around the corner. There's John Prine sound checking. I don't look too threatening, so I'm able to just kind of sit down and watch him sound check a bit. I know that he sound checked with an Elvis song. That's all right. He might have started the set with it that night too. It might have been a thing he was doing, but I will tell you this: he was by himself on stage, so just him and a guitar. And turns out he's quite in love. He's falling in love at the time with Fiona, and I kind of show up and I just shake his hand and thank him and tell him what I'm doing. And he's just very cordial and kind, smiling and in good spirits. And everybody shows up to the show. I'm in the front row. Everybody shows up, watches the show, and then we make our way back into one of the coolest towns and eras of a town ever. That's Galway, Ireland. It's this, magical place. The Water Boys are playing, out on the Aran Islands. It was just one of those times of like, yeah, man, there were no cell phones. There was no laptops. I had the same Gibson guitar. I was playing on the streets, For all I know, John Prine was out there during that time too. But it's just like, for me, I learned, it was like one guy by himself can do this, That's what I learned then. Years later, I saw him and met him on the Cayamo cruise ship, where I was the guitar player in Amy Speace's band. So it took a rare gig for me where I go sidey. I really just want to get on the boat, I want to get on the boat and be around some of my heroes and just, hang out with great songwriters. That Cayamo is about great songs, let's face it. And so Prine's on there. He plays 4 shows. I go to every one of them. Turns out Buddy Miller also is everywhere. Like there's a couple of us that I'm like, yeah, I'm here. And the first one, he sings hello in there. I start crying, whatever. It just happens. Great emotional feeling. I go back, next show I go in, he sings hello in there, I start crying again. Third time I return, I'm like, wow, I really must need to work something out here if I'm going to see John. I know, knowing full well I'm going to start getting emotional during the show, but I was just like, I could not help it. It was something really cool. And that's where Prine and Lucinda Williams meet in this thing for me. And I would say Joni Mitchell, to get off the subject a little bit, and Irish Dement sometimes too. Like they'll sing something, and I'm just like, it just comes, the waterworks. And I don't feel that way when I listen to John Prine's records, but I did that night when he would sing that song. It was something about it, and then like knowing that such a young man had such perception, like that art right there is a big one. That's like Hemingway stuff or so. I don't know, I don't know. People might be offended by the Hemingway Picasso references, but these young men that were so in tune, young women too. Lucinda Williams is one of them, that they're able to just spell out the human condition and all our emotions, pains, fears, happy, and darkness in a couple of verses and in a chorus and tell a story. That was it for me. I was like, sign me up. I want to learn how to do this, and get better at it.